अरे नीलम जी, आप म्यूट पर हो। आप बोल रही हो, सब मुझे सुनाई नहीं दे रहा है।
पता नहीं कब से बोल रही हूँ।
सब लोग सो रहे हैं।
Namaskar, everyone. Yeah, we are just waiting for. We will start in a little while. Namaskar, everyone. Just hang on there. We are waiting for more people to join. And in the meantime, watch these wise words said by Indian women, and we will be starting soon.
Namaste Nilamben, Keshav Patel from Los Angeles.
Namaskar ji, namaskar. Welcome.
Thank you.
Video or something? Start with a video or some music?
No, we were just playing the slides right now. And we will start soon.
Yes.
Tea addict. Without tea, I can't function. See, you should be in such have relationship with.
Please mute yourself.
Nilamji, Charu, Shiva Kumar and Aparna Hande will join from Los Angeles chapter.
Oh, namaskar. That's wonderful. Namaskar.
How long is this program going to be?
We are planning to go up to 6 p.m. Eastern time.
Okay, so are you starting now soon?
Yes, we will be starting in just a few minutes. We're just waiting for a few more people to come.
Okay.
Yeah.
आपण तिकडे बसूया का?
या बिकॉज इथे ना कंबर हे दुखायला लागतं.
Namaskar, Swagatam, and welcome everyone on behalf of Hindu Women's Network National Team. My name is Neelam Jaiswal. I am the co-leader of Hindu Women's Network National Team along with Manju Tiwari ji. Before we start today's program, let me request Bhavna ji to do the Deep Prajalan. Bhavna ji. Okay, technical. Yeah.
It happens, right?
Yes, use the old technique. Yes.
Yes. Deepa Jyotir Parabrahma, Deepa Jyotir Janardana, Deepo Me Hartu Papam, Deepa Jyotir Namostute.
Dhanyavad Bhavna ji.
Thank you.
Jaya ji, can Ajay bhai can do the Shanknath, please? Dhanyavad Jaya ji. Let me just start the program first here. And we're going to play the Istuti.
Vakratunda Mahakaya Surya Koti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kuru Me Deva Shubha Karyeshu Sarvada Ya Kundendu Tusharaha Dhavala Ya Shubhravastrarita Ya Veena Varadanda Manditakara Ya Shveta Padmasana Ya Brahma Chuta Shankara Prabhuti Devai Sada Vandita Sama Patu Saraswati Bhagavati Nishesha Jadyapaha Namastestu Mahamaye Shripite Sarapujite Shankachakra Gadahaste Mahalakshmi Namostute Sarvamangala Mangalye Shive Sarvata Sadike Shranyantrambake Gauri Narayani Namostute. Namaste.
Thank you, Shri. She is our little third grade student from Massachusetts who is also a Bal Vihar student. Today is also the International Women's Day. Let's celebrate with all the inspiring women around us. Let us recognize the achievement of all women, regardless of their race, religion, ethnicity, political beliefs, language, or their culture or economic situation. Let's appreciate women's victory and progress in all areas. So let me share you something about Hindu Women's Network, what it is. Hindu Women's Network mantra is triple S, Seva, Shakti, and Sadhana, that you can see also in the logo that we have just put in here. Our goal is to form a vibrant network of Hindu women living in America to promote communication and collaboration at local and national level to serve the society they live in by sharing their skills, talent, and age-old wisdom. Let's see this short movie on the Hindu Women Network that will give you an idea why, when, and how it was started and what we have done in the past 9 years. Let me play this movie.
The Hindu woman has traditionally been the nucleus of the household, the sustainer of Hindu culture and values, the light which has kept the family together. Great women like Gargi, Pannadai, Rani Lakshmi Bai of Jhansi, Jijabai have kept this glorious tradition alive. The Hindu Women's Network strives to achieve its mission with the three-pronged approach of Shakti, empowerment, sadhana through samskaras, and seva, service to society. Our vision is to form a dynamic and vibrant national network of Hindu women living in America to foster communication and collaboration locally and nationally in the service of the society by sharing their skills, talents, and age-old wisdom. The
Can
Hindu
you share
Women's
the video?
Network was started with the objective to keep this flame alive, to re-educate the present society about where we come from, our traditions, our values, and aspire to reach those heights again. Hindu Women's Network was started in 2012 as an initiative of VHP of America. The first conference was held in Staten Island, New York on June 24th, 2012. The primary objective for the conference was to highlight the various challenges faced by women and create an interactive network to guide them as a support group in their moments of crisis. To harness their collective power, women's conferences are being organized by the Hindu Women's Network Atlanta chapter annually.
Sorry for the, I'm sorry that everybody couldn't see that because I was not sharing my screen. Let me go back and start it.
The Hindu woman has traditionally been the nucleus of the household, the sustainer of Hindu culture and values, the light which has kept the family together. Great women like Gargi, Pannadai, Rani Lakshmibai of Jhansi, Jijabai have kept this glorious tradition alive. The Hindu Women's Network strives to achieve its mission with the three-pronged approach of Shakti, empowerment, sadhana through samskaras, and seva, service to society. Our vision is to form a dynamic and vibrant national network of Hindu women living in America to foster communication and collaboration locally and nationally in the service of the society by sharing their skills, talents, and age-old wisdom. The Hindu Women's Network was started with the objective to keep this flame alive, to re-educate the present society about where we come from, our traditions, our values, and aspire to reach those heights again. Hindu Women's Network was started in 2012 as an initiative of VHP of America. The first conference was held in Staten Island, New York on June 24th, 2012. The primary objective for the conference was to highlight the various challenges faced by women and create an interactive network to guide them as a support group in their moments of crisis. To harness their collective power, women's conferences are being organized by the Hindu Women's Network Atlanta chapter annually since 2013. The organizers invited community leaders, inspirational speakers, and professionals to share their knowledge and expertise for realistic, actionable methods to practice and preserve the future generations' values and culture. The conference provided an interactive arena where participants voiced their opinions and were not just listeners, but actively shared their own experiences in providing spontaneous solutions to the issues. This cohesive environment promoted a tremendous personal interaction between participants. A young woman might get her issues resolved from the wisdom and personal life lessons of a senior who has gone through the same phase of life. The Hindu Women's Network of Cincinnati started in 2014 to cultivate Hindu women's three great abilities: Shakti, Seva, and Sadhana. In the last 6 to 7 years, the network has organized more than 20 events on various relevant topics attended by women from diverse backgrounds and age groups, such as mother-daughter pair sharing their experience on handling challenges of living in a dual culture, or how to have healthy relationship with yourself to build confidence. All events also have a most admired fun-filled activity, and each session ends with healthy snacks prepared by the volunteer core team. Doing Seva is an important part of this network, such as celebrating birthdays of the residents living in a senior center. Residents feel loved and cared by the kindness of volunteers visiting them. We also stepped up during the current pandemic by making and distributing masks to the hospitals and provided food to needy families. This network has been coordinating and managing the Support a Child fundraising events for the last 4 years as part of their Seva goal to support destitute children in Bharat. Audience attending these events have given encouraging feedback that has motivated the organizing teams. Women felt empowered to discuss and share their points of view on this excellent platform to celebrate the sisterhood together. The woman is the figure that unfolds the divine potential that is present in every person. This is apparent in the concept of Ardhanarishwar, the concept of complementarity, that Purush and Prakriti are not in conflict with each other, but complement each other, coming together to form a complete whole. It is the Nari Shakti that completes the family. That is the energy that propels things forward. The Hindu Women's Network seeks to inspire every woman to achieve this ideal, to strengthen her own family and society, to achieve harmony through emotional, spiritual, and financial well-being.
So by now, I'm sure you got some idea what this Hindu Women's Network is about. It provides the platform for addressing women's issues ranging from health, fitness, spirituality, financial security, legal rights, raising children in America in dual culture, how to manage your professional and personal life. These events invite speakers to share their knowledge and expertise depending on the topic or the theme we have chosen for the events. Before we start today's event, let me share with you about the Sarojini Naidu ji, who is also called the Nightingale of India, Bharat Kokila. Let's listen her speech that she has given in 1928 here in USA. Let me play this link.
Friends, I come to you from many thousand miles away as the ambassador of a very ancient country to the youngest nation in the world. It may surprise you that a country which you are taught to regard as conservative should have chosen a woman to be its representative and ambassador. But if you read aright the whole history of Indian civilization, you will realize that woman has been the very pivot of its culture, of it all, its inspiration, and of all the embassies of peace that have gone abroad for many centuries to the uttermost parts of the world. What my country says to you, it says in the words of the old Hindu prayer that rises up in every home, night after night. Shanti, 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 peace,
How empowering her speech is there. Think about that. An Indian woman in 1928 in a foreign land, USA, proudly wearing sari and bindi. And just think about the lines she has said. The woman has been the pivot of its culture. Her contribution to the upliftment of women will always be remembered. So let's start the today's session. The Hindu woman, inspiration through action. I further emphasize the word inspiration, how powerful that word is. Someone has said, you can truly lead the people only by inspiring someone. You cannot lead someone by constantly nagging them, managing them, supervising them. Just think about that, how powerful the inspiration was. So let me introduce today's moderator, Toral Mehta. Toral Mehta is an active part of both her local and Indian community, volunteering for varied causes for more than 30 years. She is currently the Joint General Secretary of VHPA. Toral is a sales and marketing professional, and she has worked for the companies varying from childcare to finance. Toral still continues with her focus of educating the children and sustainability for the future. Here you go, Toral.
Namaste, everyone. Thank you, Neelamji, for such a nice introduction. Thank you to everybody for joining us on what is going to be a very, very powerful Hindu Women Network program. We're excited to have this show and being brought to you as we are lucky enough that Women's International Day is actually tomorrow. So it's a nice way to start us on that journey. So today we actually have a keynote speaker and we will have 4 panelists. I just remind everyone to please keep yourselves on mute. There will be an opportunity to do question and answer, and I will let you know as we go through the program when you'll be able to ask questions and everything. So thank you and
Toral,
welcome once again.
Toral, just in short, just let me share with everyone the disclaimer statement. This show is being recorded. If you don't want to be recorded, you have the opportunity to opt out of the meeting, or you can mute your video and audio. Thank you. And also that another thing, please keep your phone, your Zoom meeting on mute. And if you have any question, please put it in the chat box. At the end of the panel discussion, we will go and read those questions, and the panelist and the keynote speaker will answer. Okay, go ahead, Toral.
Thank you. So today our keynote speaker, it's my pleasure to introduce to everyone on behalf of Hindu Women Network, our keynote speaker, Aparna Rayasam. Aparna ji is the Vice President of Cloud Security at Akamai. She has 24 plus years experience in the software industry. She is actively involved in many nonprofits, Bal Vihar, and women's forums. She's married and a proud mother to 2 teenage girls. Welcome, Aparna ji.
Thank you, Toral. Hopefully all of you can hear me well.
Yes.
Perfect. All right. Again, thank you, Toral, for that wonderful introduction. And thank you also to the Hindu Women Network for inviting me to speak to this August assembly on a topic that is very close to my own heart. So again, I thank you from the bottom of my heart. Before I get started, I'd like to wish every woman and their ally on this call a very happy International Women's Day. It is important personally to commemorate and celebrate every milestone that marks a step forward in the journey. As I reflect on my own journey in preparation for the remarks today, I was both struck and humbled by the legacy that I have been blessed with. This legacy comes in both in the form of the bedrock of the Sanatan Dharma that I grew up with without even realizing, almost in a state of osmosis as part of my growth in India or growing up in India, and also through the exposure to some amazing women through my life. The bedrock of Sanatan Dharma, in my mind, is the most comprehensive yet efficient way for self-actualization. And the women, like I mentioned, have been extraordinary influences, beginning from my own mother, my 2 sisters, my sisters-in-law, my 8 paternal aunts, my 4 maternal aunts, my 3 maternal aunts, my mother-in-law, my beautiful young girls, my friends, colleagues, everywhere around me. Each one is a unique combination of both their circumstance, their geopolitical situations, in many cases, if you will, their challenges, and really their choices that they're making on a daily basis. Again, like I said, each one is unique, but from all of this uniqueness comes literally 4 major themes that I have adopted as a framework to inspire myself. And it is this framework that I'd like to share with all of you, hoping that it will help you in your own journeys. The first and the most important part, or the first part of the framework, is the truth, or satya. The truth in this context is each of our own truth. Who are we? It is, in more colloquial words, it is your identity. Who do you think of yourself as? It is both a representation of your current state and your desired state. So in a simplified form, my identity or my truth or my satya can be that I'm a technologist, I'm a mother, I'm a wife, I'm a daughter and sister, etc. I am a follower of Sanatan Dharma. Once I have codified this truth for myself, it is very liberating, because now I have set my personal, I've set a boundary on what my identity is. In many ways, I have set my goals for myself. And therefore, I no longer suffer from either maybe even an imposter syndrome where I am worried about being someone else. I do not have the stress of struggling with an identity challenge, because my identity is complex but unique and my own. And I do not have the stress of trying to be anyone else, because again, the identity is unique. And this allows me to bring my authentic self to every setting. I do not try to be anything else, because I am, my authentic self. And my authentic self is a complex mixture of my current and future goals. So this is the bedrock of my own framework. Now comes the next leg of the framework, which is the dharma. And maybe in more colloquial terms, it is a code of conduct or a blueprint or priorities that you set for yourselves. Let me take all of us back a few centuries ago. We are in the middle of the Kurukshetra war. Lord Krishna is expounding upon the Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna, and Arjuna, who represents each of us, asks the Lord. He says, as you're talking about dharma, I do not know what my dharma is. How am I, as an average individual, to know what my dharma is? Let us assume I'm not well read, I'm not completely caught up with every book on Dharma Shastra. How am I to know? So Sri Krishna simplifies it for him and through him to all of us. He says, understand your identity. He asks Arjuna to understand his parichaya, his identity, and from that follows the dharma. So in my own example, as I have I have set my identity as a technologist, my path, my code of conduct, my path becomes that of a technologist. I must be the best technologist that I am capable of being. And as we set that for ourselves, it sets up the structure for our own blueprint for our own lives. Now, the next leg of this that closely follows the structure of the dharma is the concept of karma. The loose translation, again, English is not is limited in its ability to translate some of these concepts, so you have to bear with me. The loose translation of dharma is really the sum of actions in this and previous existences that one takes. So oversimplified, this is a set of things that each of us must do to achieve our own individual dharmas. So a couple of examples for us of from my own life. Um, like I said, I want to be a technologist leader. As part of this, my dharma requires firstly that I set, as a leader, I set the goals for my team. I make sure that there is a framework, there's an environment for them to work through their goals. As a leader, my karma dictates that I must drive my team to the best of their potential. I must drive the company to the best of my potential. I must drive the environment to the best of its potential. Another example is, as most of you may relate, growing up in India, we grew up with a set of values and set of systems through osmosis. Nobody taught us this, but you grew up with those. And as I entered into motherhood, as my first child was growing up, part of my aspirations for her, part of my dharma for my child, was to make sure that she had a shared sense of those values, and she had access to those to use for her own self-actualization. And when I was doing that, my husband and I were looking for a place where we could bring her some of those concepts really quickly. We struck upon a Bal Vihar, and we took her there when she was 4. And as she was going through the class, the material was great. But as a child of 4, she was struggling with some of the concepts and internalizing those. So what I would do was I would bring that back home to her and help her understand, and found she was responding well. And that's when the thought struck, why not do this for more kids so that more kids are able to understand? And that became the genesis of my involvement with Bal Vihars. And fast forward to now, I have been involved with a couple of those. And more recently, I'm in a leadership role in a Bal Vihar. And in this Bal Vihar, I am amazed and humbled by the amazing set of volunteers, of which of the 10 volunteers, I am proud to say we have 5 of them who are women, and each of them a pillar in their own right and inspiring in their own way. But that sets again, if you use a framework of Satya, Dharma, and Karma, it sets a very nice path of success. The last and arguably the most important part of my framework is the Shakti, divinity, or strength. This is the Shakti that is inherent in each of us. That there is a Shakti in each of us is an immutable truth. The Shakti manifests itself in a subtle form in some cases, where I would see, like, for example, my mother, who would work through the whole day without ever complaining about anything, but work in almost an inconspicuous way where you could not even see her working, but things were getting done. In other forms, I would see, for example, my highly intelligent sisters who would argue about states of nations, which if I did not participate, they ensured that I participated through hook or crook, or in my children who are highly vocal about today's issues. It manifests. The energy exists in each of us. It is up to each of us to discover and harness it. I'll give you a couple more examples from my own life about this Shakti. Having been more or less, fitness conscious for most of my life, I hadn't really pursued an athletic career or athletic hobby in earnest for a variety of reasons. Then at the ripe age of 39, I went to a gym, and when all other equipment was taken away or taken by someone else, I hit upon the treadmill, which wasn't really my favorite. I tried to run a little bit, and suffice to say, I was running about a quarter of a mile with about 5 or 6 breaks and at an atrocious speed. So, but the more I did that, there's something woke up in me to say, hey, maybe I can try this. And then out of a complete whim, I signed up for my first half marathon 3 months away from that. Again, remember, this is a person who couldn't complete a quarter mile without 5 breaks. Slowly, I discovered the strength in me, the perseverance in me, the Shakti in me, which allowed me to complete my training. And then I got hooked into running, and fast forward to now, I've done tens of half marathons and a couple of marathons. And, I have now declared I'm a runner. So, and it's so heartwarming to see that this is something I brought home, because now my daughters both wake up very earlier than me. They're off running where I am lazier in the bed, but inspiring. And every time I go out and I see a woman taking a long walk or trying a new exercise or running, I am cheering violently for this person, because you are clearly discovering your own Shakti. Another place where this has come to fruition for me was in a boardroom setting. I was to present an important change in direction for the technology group that I represented. And despite being the subject matter expert, I found myself being overpowered by the voices in the room, because clearly, since it was a position of power, everyone was vying to get a piece of that pie. But it was important that I speak up, not just for myself, but it was important because I knew the position the best. And if I didn't speak up, who was going to? So I took it upon myself to pick up my voice in a room of 50 odd people, me with my unique accent. It was important. I said my piece. I picked up my voice and I spoke up, and slowly but surely others paid attention. They understood where I was coming from. They understood the pivot that I was advocating for. And thankfully, both because they were a set of open-minded folks and potentially I was persuasive, we did manage to change the course along the lines that I was suggesting, and to great success for the business. Since then, I have always advocated for the quieter voices in the room. I make sure that every time I am in a room where there are multiple voices and someone's trying to say something, make sure that that person gets their say. So in order to pay it forward, but more importantly, make sure that if you do have something to be said, if you have something to contribute, make sure that you don't silence yourself first. Make sure that you are your first advocate and push yourself first, because if you silence yourself, you're saying no to the Shakti that's inherent in each of us. So to summarize, each of us must distill the identity for ourselves, set our path of dharma, follow that with nishkam karma that does not look for an immediate return of investment, karma that is persistent, and ultimately discover the innate Shakti or strength in each of us. I thank you all for listening and wish the very best in each of your journeys. Thank you, Neelamji.
Thank you, Aparnaji. Toral.
Aparnaji, thank you so much. Thank you for a very heartfelt talk on your personal experiences that you've had. It's very much appreciated. It's nice to see that there's a framework that can be so simple and you can get so much out of it. Truth, dharma, setting goals and priorities, and Shakti. I mean, if that can't take you to where you need to go, I don't know what can. So thank you very much. So we do have 4 panelists who are going to be who have joined us. And what we're going to do is we are going to ask them 2 questions each, and then we will take it from there. Our panelists today are actually in varied stages in their lives, both professionally and personally. They are going to share their unique experiences and how it pertains to women universally. I guess I can also say internationally. Please join me in welcoming our first panelist. Her name is Swapnali Buradkar. She's worked with international finance, software, and institutions. Swapnali ji has been a resident of Japan for the past 15 years. 2.5 years ago, she started the Indian Professionals in Japan, or otherwise known as IPJ, which is a Facebook group for highly skilled professionals that are connected to both India and Japan. Its membership, which is amazing, has grown from 10 to over 5,500 in this short amount of time. Women's leadership is an initiative that's run in parallel with other activities within this organization. She is an active she's in active contact with the Indian Embassy as an IPG member. I thank you so much for joining us, especially coming from Japan. Thank you very much. It's very late for her right now. Swapnali ji?
Very much. Thank you very much. Are you able to hear me well?
Yes, we can hear you. Thank you.
Great, thank you. So thank you very much, Toral ji, for that introduction. I'm really humbled. Thank you very much, Neelam ji, for inviting me at this esteemed stage. And I am so happy to see and hear about Hindu Women's Network America. You're doing wonderful work across America. I'm definitely going to share this with the network here in Japan. So I will request Neelam ji to share your video with me so I can play here on our platforms. And I wish you all women who have joined on this platform a very happy International Women's Day. I hope this New Year's and years coming will be bright and wonderful for you, your dreams. I hope your dreams will fulfill. It will give strength to your family and loving people around you. So once again, thank you for inviting me on this platform.
Thank you, Swapnali ji, for your intro. So we'll start on with our panel discussion, and I have your first question for you. So can you name one inherent strength in being a Hindu woman that has been a catalyst for your success in a leadership role?
Thank you. This is very important and a wonderful question. And Aparna ji, I believe, has summarized it very well. And this part is also brought up by her. I think balance, Santulan, is one of the important Shakti as an Indian woman I have learned, and I'm trying to follow while working in my private and in my public life. My parents have taught me to aim for balance since I was growing. I have seen them trying this best. So the balance between individualism and collectivism, the balance between modern thinking and ancient thinking. These are real Hindu values, I believe. I know that it is easier said than done. It is difficult. I took a long time to build this quality, and I'm still learning. In order to act on this important Shakti, what I do, and this could be one tip, I believe, that I talk aloud about building balance during days or when I'm working, or even when I'm not working, my self-talk. So the more I talk, the more my brain reminds me to act on this important Shakti, use this important Shakti during the crisis time. And it actually happened. It is, I have seen that at time when it is really required, my brain, my body, and my surrounding, it worked, and I tried to balance things by thinking rationally in that right moment. So I will highly recommend to everyone to try to see balance in whatever we do. And I think it is all the more important when we are raising small children. I have 2 small children and I have a wonderful supporting husband. And for women, since we are so important part of our family and our society, we striving for balance actually has a multiplied effect, I suppose. So that's my answer. Balance, Santulan.
Thank you, Aparna ji. Balance is extremely important, and I appreciate you bringing that up. So name a critical change that we can have and we can make as a society in order to make things better for the next generation.
Okay, so one major change, I will say, and again, this is from my personal experience, if we are not doing already, I will highly, highly recommend we all do meditation at least once a day. And not for 1 minute, 2 minutes, or 5 minutes, but please try for 20 minutes, if possible, half an hour, because that's much time it needs for our mind and body to really connect with the cosmos and really see the benefit over long run. So if your family is young, then it is even better. So when we do meditation, I think we all perhaps know, we emit powerful energy in the surrounding. And if our children are around us, they're sleeping, or they're studying, anything, even if they are not participating, they are benefiting from our practice. To stress my point further, I think I will give an example here. As I think Toraji has mentioned, my current profile, that I'm leading a very big organization here in Japan. But I was never in any lead role before. Starting from my childhood to till I started my group. Whenever I thought of any lead role in the past, I was always pulled back, thinking that what if I fail? What will people say? What will my relatives will talk? My friends will talk. So that actually always forbidden me from taking any big role, especially in the public, where we may see criticism right on our face, right? Afterwards, I and my husband started doing meditation from 2013. Actually, I have seen my father also doing a various type of meditation through playing music. But and perhaps that's where I took some initial learning from him, and subconsciously, I will say. So in 2013, we started doing meditation. We took course for around 1 week. And we seriously started doing meditation every day, 2 times a day, morning and evening. We are doing it for now 8 years. In 2018, I had brief thought of starting the professional group because it is not there in Japan. It wasn't there in Japan. We always had social groups here. We would meet during Diwali or Holi festival, but not for any professional purpose in public. So I quickly had this idea, and I do not know how it actually happened, but one thing I remember, I was talking with my husband, and second thing, I was on Facebook, creating a group, adding my close friends. That's all. I did not think aloud. I did not analyze, reanalyze, did not even, I think once about failure. And it has pulled off actually. And many friends have contacted me, even strangers contacted me, talking about how this platform is useful for people in Japan. So in summary, I will say that my actions and my intuitions were super active and super connected during that period. And people who are doing meditation for a long period, at least 5 years or so, will share such stories with you. It takes time to see the benefit, but you will see the benefit. So please do meditation regularly for a considerable period. That's my answer.
Swapnalaji, thank you so much. Thank you again for joining us from Japan. It is definitely a long haul, but Zoom has made everything much more possible. So thank you again. So just to summarize quickly, it's the points that you made are very, very good. Balance, collectivism, talking out loud, and meditation. And what's great is you mentioned if someone can start meditating at even a young age, the sooner they get started, the better. So these are all great characteristics to have in order for not only a Hindu woman, for a person in general. So thank you very much for sharing all of your experiences with us.
Thank you so much for having me here.
Absolutely. So our next panelist, her name is Hina Rathore. Hina ji is the founder and CEO of True Choice Pack, which is a sustainable packaging company in order to reduce the use of plastic and styrofoam. She has also started an internship program for students from India, where some are hired and also helped out with their H-1 visa. Hina ji, welcome.
Yes, thank you so much, Toralji. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, thank you.
Yes, thank you everyone and namaste. And I'm glad to be here and really appreciate this opportunity to be a part of a great event of Hindu Network. And thank you everyone, all women, for International Women's Day as well.
Hina ji, so my first question for you is, how did you develop the idea to start a company of biodegradable products to replace plastics, styrofoams, and other harmful materials?
Yeah, Toralji. So that's an interesting question in my entrepreneurial journey, really. I used to work for the hospital systems in management positions. And back in 2007 and 8, here in Ohio, the hospital systems that I used to work for, we were dealing with a lot of issues with plastics and styrofoam-based waste. And if you see here, the hospital consume a ton of plastics in cafeterias as well as in patient rooms. So I was part of managing, I think, that problem. And while dealing with it, I realized that there are so many alternate solutions, better materials are available that can address the issue. My husband, luckily, at that time, he is a scientist actually, and he gave me some insights that what are those alternative solutions are available and how we can develop solutions. So from there, we took that concept and we ourselves started developing and researching the ideas. 3-4 years later, we came up with about 100, I think, tableware disposable products that are 100% compostable, certified compostable, and they degrade in landfill in 90 days. And they perfectly are, alternatives to styrofoam and plastics-based tableware, which is really harmful to environment and human health both. So that was really the start of our business. We launched a new product line called BioGreen Choice. And it was a much needed solutions in the country during that time. So company continued to do well, responding to the, I think, the market challenges. Our company, True Choice Pack, named as top fastest growing companies in 2 consecutive years, 2019 and 20. We ranked 57 fastest growing companies in the US in 2019 and 2020. We ranked number 72. And also on this is Women Network Day. So we also ranked number 7, women-led company in the US in 2019 as well. So that's kind of a really interesting and successful journey.
Great. It sounds like you got some motivation from where you were working and it made you start a company. That's wonderful.
Yeah. Yes.
My second question for you is, what would you say was your driving force or the role model that gave you the strength to build a business from scratch?
So I would say that, I grew up in India. And my parents, of course, have been Hindu, and I was raised with Hindu, actually, values. So my mom played a very profound role in who I am today. My mom was very, very faith-based, still she is, following Hindu traditions, with the bottom of her heart throughout her life. And one thing I think she had taught us is the faith-based, I think, culture that, what actually, basically, what we believe in ourselves, our positive thoughts, and the Shakti which we worship, which is in us, really creates our outer reality. And it is not other way around. So that had a very, very deep, I think, impact on me. And I always believe that when I lead with something with positivity and good Shakti and faith, it works out. So when I think, I had a very interesting path because I was the first first woman who had MBA degrees in my, I think career, first woman to go out and do a job. So not like coming from a very highly educated communities around me. From there to, I think on a journey to build a company and developing the company, which is in a top 100, I think, ranks in the country, it was a really tough path as well. A lot of challenges everywhere on the step of my way. But I think with those, internal values and that core beliefs, I could overcome that very well.
I can hear it in the car.
What?
I can hear it in the car.
Sorry.
Oh yeah, it's connected with my.
So, if you can just unmute yourself, because I think we had to mute everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Enough,
Okay.
please unmute
Here we go.
Right. Yes, I
Thank
did.
you, sir. Thank you
Yeah,
so
sorry
much.
about that.
No, that's okay. Thank you so much for giving us all of your personal experiences. And I'm sure even within your family and to others, you are a very big role model, being that you were the first one to get your master's. So that in itself is very exciting. Your motivation was definitely, in terms of your previous job, what started you to start your own company, which is exciting. And the fact that your mother also gave you Shakti, she was faith-based. So to have positivity and belief in yourself is something that everybody should strive to have. So thank you very much for joining us.
Yes, thank you very much, Dora.
You're welcome. Yeah. So our next panelist is Suchrita Jayanti. Suchrita is a native of the New Hampshire area and is currently getting her master's in computer science. Prior to graduate studies, she worked at Amazon as well. Suchrita serves as a graduate president of Dartmouth Shanti and Hindu Student Organization. Suchrita, welcome.
Namaste, Doralji. Thank you so much for having me. And to everyone listening, of course, happy International Women's Day. And also Mahasivaratri Subhakankshula or Mahasivaratri Subhasayaha for later this week. Doralji, I'm excited to get started.
Wonderful, thank you. So my first question for you is, what would you say is the biggest challenge for Hindu American students at the moment? And what is one piece of practical advice you would give to them to meet this challenge?
That's actually a great question. So I'm going to speak both from my own personal experience, and I've been fortunate to have over a decade of an experience with Hindu college student groups between my work with Dartmouth Shanti and Hindu Students Council, of which I'm on the leadership team. So, and I've been fortunate to, befriend and mentor a lot of those students, and I'm going to bring those experiences to this conversation as well. So I think the major challenge for any Hindu student is also kind of the major challenge for any American student or any human being at all. And that's to kind of connect with, assimilate with, and fit into the world around them. As a Hindu student, this usually manifests itself in America in a few different ways, and parents in the audience will hopefully connect with some of these things in what they've seen with their own children. So from a very young age, even as young as like elementary school or middle school, we start to see these things with a disconnect between their Hindu life and their public American life, with how they dress. So like there's debates about traditional attire, when to wear them, how conservative their clothing should be, putting oil in their hair, bindis on their foreheads, whatever else, how they socialize as they get into middle school and high school with partying, dating, alcohol, and also the food they eat, which you'd think would be kind of not a problem. But the food they eat, I think usually it's things like, do you bring Indian food to school? Are you vegetarian on certain days of the year, certain days of the week, always? And how do you explain that? As you go into college, I think the primary struggle, actually kind of all of these things continue, And then there's a new layer added on to that, where college is just an extremely difficult time for a young adult, moving from a place where they've got their parents with them every single day, and they've got parents and teachers who've got their back, and friends they've known their entire life and who've known them, more importantly, to moving into a place where they're kind of permanently 24/7 interconnected with people who don't necessarily share their values, and like who don't necessarily have the same definitions of what bullying is, or what how to take the word no properly, or maybe they understand all these things. And the real scary case is when you see the real world and you realize there's some people who just don't think morality is for them, and they don't have to follow it. And the adults in your life become professors and administrators who don't necessarily see it to be their place to step into the social life of a legal adult. And so there's a strong need for kind of spiritual, emotional, and mental strength that a young adult in college needs. And I think a lot of Hindu Americans struggle with how to kind of fall back on something. What is their network that they fall back onto to get that strength from and to draw that strength from? So those are the problems, and they seem dire, but fortunately, I think there's a lot we can do as a community and as individuals to kind of help them face that. So for the final one first, for the kind of college-specific problem of knowing what your network is, I think we should go back to our basics. Let's remember that traditionally, we had a great system for that. Spiritually, we had gurus, and these gurus were not just kind of unemotional imparters of knowledge intellectually. They were guides, they were mentors, they were friends, they were counselors, they were therapists. They served such a critical role in an individual's life in guiding them, as I said, spiritually, emotionally, and mentally, as well as intellectually. And we've lost a lot of that over the centuries, and it's something important for us to build back. Culturally, we've had family units where children were able to kind of go to aunts, uncles, grandparents, cousins, people who were able to guide them on the right path without parenting them. And I think that is another network that like we've lost, but we can build back in the forms of uncles and aunties and mandir resources that children can go to, and have our mandirs be places that help you form that network beyond doing pujas or hosting traditional or cultural events. But then the question becomes, okay, all of this only becomes useful if the children are going to mandirs, if the college students are there. So how do we get our college students to go there? And the answer to that is, let's get them to fit in. So fitting in, I think Aparna ji had a great point during her keynote address today. And I think a big number one step of that is let's help them understand their own culture and understand their own dharma and understand their own Hinduism. And two top points to do that is let's make sure they've got the ability to access those resources. A lot of our resources are firsthand resources, which American students are taught are the only things that really matter, right? Firsthand resources. A lot of them are in either Sanskritam or they are in Indian languages. And I think we're doing our children a great disservice when we don't connect them with those. So I think step number one is let's make sure our children have the tools to access those resources by putting them in touch with these languages. Personally, I was really fortunate to be able to learn Sanskritam from Samskrita Bharati USA. And I didn't start until late high school, actually. But that experience has been absolutely invaluable in my life for connecting with my culture. And then point number two, I think, is we need to help our children make their culture relatable to their friends and the society around them. We talk a lot about how our cultural terms are not translatable. Like when my friend asked me hey, do you guys worship cows? And I say, yeah, we do worship cows. We're not actually speaking the same language. They mean, do you see cows as a singular, absolute, all-powerful thing that is able to control every aspect of your life? And I mean, me and other Hindus acknowledge the divinity in Gomata, right? And like, we're not saying the same things despite using the same language. So, but we talk a lot about that aspect of it. And I think another aspect of it that's equally important for us is to be able to speak about Hindu issues with the right vocabulary. A lot of what we're seeing today, a big touching one for me was watching the Sadhu killings videos from Maharashtra. We need to be able to talk about something like that in a vocabulary that relates to the American non-Hindu society around us. And an example that sticks out for me that I see a lot these days is hashtag Hindu Lives Matter. And don't get me wrong, I 100% agree that the lives of Hindus matter very much, and that's exactly what I'm trying to say. But that particular hashtag phrased that way in the current political climate of the United States comes with so much other context that we probably don't want to bring in, and is not necessarily appropriate for us to bring into the conversation we're trying to have. So I think it's very important to keep our Hindu youth engaged, for us to develop a vocabulary both to talk about Hindu spirituality and Hindu issues, and as a community to really think about how we use the English language. So yeah, those are my answers, Taralji.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to ask my second question because you've already gone into it a little bit. So I think this is the perfect segue. If you could tell us, what do you think is the role of young Hindu American women in preserving Hindu culture today and for our future?
Literally what I've been saying. So I think all of these resources, all of these resources that our young Hindu Americans need, they're not going to make themselves. So we need to volunteer and we need to help them happen. And we need to understand that we need to educate our population beyond what schools or even Bal Vihars allow them to do, like parents, uncles, aunties, you know, it's our job to kind of mentor the people in the society, and especially the children of our society. But the most important thing, I think, I remember in my own life, my parents have been taking me to the same mandir since I was a child. We went every single Friday. I was lucky to go to college in the same town, so I then went every single Friday myself. But I remember that I transitioned from, why do I have to spend my Friday evenings like this, to I have friends here, so I guess this is kind of okay, to, oh my God, I've got this huge spiritual, emotional, mental, like void within me that this is filling. And my parents had to struggle with me through those first two phases. And I promise I would have much rather been out playing with my friends than going to mandir. But if they hadn't pushed me through those stages and given me that unseverable connection with my Hindu identity, I wouldn't have known what to do when I had that void and I needed it to be filled. And so I think the most important thing, let's make sure we give our children that connection. And that's all of our roles. It's not just parents, it's all of us in society. If there's a child somewhere that looks up to you, make sure you give them that guidance. It's something that's important, especially for parents who grew up in India, like my own parents. They didn't need it as much. You could see the Hinduism around you all the time. Your parents were doing puja. There was festivals on the street. There's temples on every street corner. There's pravachanams like blasting out of the TVs all the time. But your Hindu American child may never see a Hindu thing again after the age of 18 if they don't go looking for it. So we need to make sure that they grow up with that connection so that when they need it, they're able to look back on it as a close friend they can fall back on, rather than a stranger their parents once introduced them to.
Suchrita, thank you so much. So I will say, I think what is incredible is, based on the experiences that you've already had, that you already have gotten into mentoring. You bring up some very, very valid and wonderful points in terms of, in order to keep Hindu Dharma alive and going, we do need resources that are not so much translatable, but understandable to the youth that have not grown up in India, that do grow up here. So sometimes it really is just a matter of being able to get that information to them in a way that they can understand. So thank you very much for also explaining about spiritual, cultural, and emotional strength that we can get from each other, and to take that and to aspire to something better. Thank you.
Thank you, Toralji.
Our next panelist comes to us, and her name is Yashwini Desai. So Yashwini ji is an IT professional in the Chicago area. She's an active volunteer with ACL, SEVA, Art of Living, and HSS, giving back to the community for over 25 years. She is a yoga teacher, trained in black belt, and is a trained and practices, meditation and scripture are some of her other interests. Yashji is a married mother of 2 living in an extended family. Yashji, welcome. Okay, are you, I think you're on mute. If you could just unmute yourself.
yourself. Yes, yes.
Namaste, can you hear me okay?
Yes, excellent. Thank you. We can hear you. Thank you and welcome.
Thank you, Toralji. Thanks a lot for a great introduction. Neelamji, Manjuji, Shobhaji, thanks for invitation for this panel.
So the first question that I have for you is, how have you balanced your career as a software engineer with your personal life while still living in an extended family?
I love my own family and my extended family. We all stay happily caring for each other in Chicago over 30 plus years. I have been taught from my childhood the sentiment of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, meaning the world is our own family. Treat people and everyone around us as a whole, one family with love and human dignity. Balance is the key. As a software engineer, I was trained to think logically. That uses my left brain, and I used to get stressed out at the end of the day and get tired. I enjoy cooking, singing, being creative, and using right side of my brain. I became certified yoga teacher and cultivated routine. I every day do yoga, Surya Namaskaras, and meditation. I also enjoy singing bhajans and mantras. This gives me more happiness, peace, contentment, and make me more relaxed. By keeping my own operating system updated all the time, I'm able to manage my emotions, stress level, stay happy and healthy. I'm extremely fortunate and very thankful to my own family, who are always able to help me in volunteering this work.
I realized, as I was talking, I realized, oh, wait a minute, I'm muted. Sorry about that. Thank you so much for your answer. So on to the next question. What would you say is one Hindu value that has inspired you to serve the community?
Niswart Seva, selfless volunteering, has inspired me a lot from childhood. I started weekly Bal Gokulam Sunday school from our own home. I prepared the flyer and started distributing in our neighborhood. A lot of families from local neighborhood coming at my home. Every Sunday we used to have Bal Gokulam sessions where I used to teach them yoga, Surya Namaskaras, mantras chanting, bhajan singing. We played games, and these games involve leadership role. I also
हाँ.
taught them facilitating
नीचे होगा.
art sessions such as Ganesh Murti making, Shivalingam make
hey.
project, Rangoli, painting, greeting cards, Toran making,
तो तुम मुझसे क्यों कर रहे हैं?
hanging, making
हाँ,
use,
it's fine. वो तो
making
नीचे यही.
Yeshi, please
Yeah.
unmute yourself because I have to mute everyone.
Yeah.
Yeshi, please.
Yes, G, if you could just unmute yourself, we had to mute everyone again.
Yeah. Please, everybody mute your Zoom meeting.
Yes, G, if you can unmute yourself.
She's not.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
I think, okay.
Yeah, she's good. She's good. Yeah, you're good now.
Now we
I
can
don't have anybody here in this room.
No, it's not you. It can be from anywhere. So that's why we have to mute.
That's
Sorry about that.
Okay. So do I have to start from the beginning? I think, were you able to hear me?
Yes.
We could hear you. Continue. That's okay. Yeah.
So I started teaching them shloka, bhajan singing. Also, I conducted the classes for the Ganesh Murti making, Shivalingam making, Rangoli, painting, greetings card, Toran, door hangers, making US and Indian flags, and explain the importance of our festivals and main events, what happening in US, made the cultural balance of Eastern and Western culture. I also conducted shloka competitions, storytelling competitions, motivated and inspired a lot of kids in the leadership role. I trained them to become fearless while leading the small team games. So the kids started learning leadership from the very childhood. I also initiated Adopt a Highway cleaning program from 2007, and it's still going on. And new families and volunteers are joining here. I have organized weekly sessions at Manor Care Libertyville nursing home. Over 10 plus weeks, kids had gone there and did the seva for the senior citizens. These are the sentimental values that we are caring and nurturing thoughts, bhavana, in our younger generation. Encourage them to do more seva, more community services, and awarded volunteering hours. So in other words, I also created a platform in local neighborhood where our kids can do the this kind of volunteering seva. From last 13 plus years, in every summer, I go at Yorkville, Illinois. We have kids and young professionals camp where we teach them leadership skills, Hindu activities, Hindu values, physical fitness, and character development. I take time off, and I love cooking, as I said earlier. So I cook for them every morning. I will make breakfast for them, lunch, dinner, and tea and coffee, and give my time to selfless service here. I also organized and coordinated volunteering efforts at local Hindu mandirs. Every Diwali, I started a local food drive where the food will be collected and take the kids right before Thanksgiving weekend and donate that to those needy people, and without feeling them inferior. So this was a great project also, without making recipient as an inferior. So that's a key point. Cultivate the main, the chain of kindness. I also organize yoga in local public libraries, introduce International Yoga Day at my work, health awareness sessions. I taught yoga, pranayam, meditation techniques. I also conducted free yoga sessions last year in June online, and I taught them how to do pranayamas, meditations, and a lot of other yoga techniques. I coordinated efforts with several organizations in Chicago and did the mask distribution. I have also visited tribal and rural Vanvasi area in Bharat, India. In January last year, I visited that area, and I keep contact with those people, and I inspire them and guide them. And my Parivar Bhavana is I'm going even as a Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam here in in US as well as in Bharat, in our mother country. So Parivar Bhavana is another best thing here. When I'm doing the Niswar Seva with passion, which makes me more energetic, more happier and satisfied, I'm very much thankful to my husband Jwalan and my own family members all the time.
Yashi, thank you so much for your answers. And it sounds like, a great take-home message is you can tell the passion that you have, your experiences and your interests is what you have shared with others. And when you do share something that you're so passionate about, it comes across. So it's very much appreciated and something that we can all learn from as well. So at this point, I do want to bring back all of our panelists. I want to thank you. I want to bring up back, all of our panelists and Aparna ji, our keynote speaker. Thank you so much for your insights and your participation in today's event. So with this part of the program, what we're going to do is conclude it with the following question. And I'm actually going to, this question is going out to all of you, and we will start with Aparna ji. So based on your experiences, what Hindu value can be used collectively by the community as a whole in order to sustain Hindu culture for coming generations?
So hard to synthesize to one. That's the first thing I'm going to say. I think and in fact, my suggestion would be to not try to synthesize. I'm going to cheat a little bit here, Toral, and I'm going to say, first and foremost is education. Understanding, educate ourselves to the infinite wisdom in the Hindu value system. So first and foremost, every one of us must take it upon ourselves to become more familiar with the larger value system, dharma system, the karmic cycle, understand that. And from each of those, we should derive as makes most, or as is most applicable for each of us. The other part, the other extension of that is another way to look at it is to go through the Yoga Sutras. So the Patanjali Yoga Sutras, I'm sure you've heard of those. So, but to truly embrace the Yoga Sutras, both from a perspective of both body and mind towards self-actualization. So I would encourage each person here to start their own journey of educating, and through that education, come upon the concepts that speak to the most to your current station and that take you forward.
Thank you, Aparna ji. I appreciate it. Education, definitely a huge one out there.
Yep.
So the same question, Swapnali ji, if you can give us your thoughts.
Okay. This is a very good question, and I think it is a little difficult to summarize, as Aparna ji had mentioned. If I have to focus on one particular point here, then I will say adhere to your dharma faithfully. Dharma here can be described as your righteous conduct, moral law, moral duty to your society. As I live here in Japan for so many years, and I'm living in Japanese society, actually surrounded by Japanese people here. My son goes to Japanese school, and that's why I could see what really makes people in Japan so clear about their duty, and what gives the passion. They are very passionate when they do work. They're very quality oriented. So this is their culture. Work is their culture. And I believe if we can connect our Hindu dharma with the work that we have, then I believe it will bring amazing result. And another thing I will say is that Japanese are very particular about putting this in the kids curriculum at a very young age, as early as from 2 years to 5 years. So my son he's 4 years old, and I can see him daily. The small things are taught to them. They are not taught maths, science, reading, writing, nothing. They are taught to how to behave in the society and the civic duties. I'll give a small example. How to hand over book to someone else. Do you give book just like this? No, you have to turn the book and give to that person. I will give another example how the society is built here in Japan. So one day I was walking on the road and I saw one child coming back from school. He had a backpack. He saw one tree and there was beautiful garden around the tree and small stones in the afternoon. He, 7 years, 8 years old child, wanted to play with those stones. So he played with those stones for around 10 minutes or so. Then he looked at his watch and said, oh, I need to go back to home. He did not go straight home. He looked back what he had done, the mess he created. He put back all the stones properly, redesigned that small garden, and then left for home. 7-year-old child. And this is what it says. It is imbibed so deep, and they could have not done it without putting this in the curriculum for kids from at early age. So I believe this is a good take home for me. And this is why I'm putting my child in that in Japanese school right now. If we can put our kids, if we can put some important points of our Hinduism in the curriculum properly, I think we will see great results 10, 20 years from now.
Thank you so much, Swapnali ji. Very, very good points, without a doubt. Hina ji, same question to you, please.
Yes, can you hear me okay?
Yes, thank you.
Right, yeah, okay. So I think it's an excellent, insights by all the, panelists here. Just one thing, I think what Swapnali ji said, and Suchitra ji also mentioned that, I would like to just have one more point to there that, I grew up in India. What my mom did it to me was really had a profound impact on me, and I summarized that. But it was kind of an obvious impact, to, I think, raise in an Hindu, I think, religion and faith and belief, because I grew up in India. While my daughter does not have the same, I think, benefit, because she is growing up here in the US. So we could see that it was not so obvious what my mom did it the same way I grew up my child, and just connect her and have her believe in Hinduism the same way I did. So we put her in one of the local, I think, the chapter of an Hindu temple, YGIC, here in Ohio, Southwest Ohio. And 4 years ago, when she started first, as being a 6-year-old, I think, child, she had a lot of difficulties following Sanskrit sloka and memorizing it, and every day chanting and whatever homework she gets. But after 4 years later, she still has some challenges with remembering Sanskrit slokas and all. But her love for Hinduism, her understanding, her appreciation for our culture is totally changed. So I believe that, I think that whatever the local chapters are, and the lot of volunteers who are doing a great job, we should take full advantage of it to make our, I think, Hinduism and our culture alive. And what Yashji is doing, I wish I can do even a 10% of it, because it takes a lot of effort, by these volunteers to doing a wonderful things. And I'm grateful to a lot of such volunteers around me. But I think to connect our child to, I think, to children, to this community is extremely important. And one of the most important thing is that will help them, I think, build themselves and their confidence in this society too, because they are living in diverse society where they will look different, they will eat different, they will act different. And yet I think they learn that by being different also, they can be extremely successful and they can connect with the diverse society. So I think that's just my, I think, viewpoint.
Thank you so much, Hina ji. You make some wonderful points, and one that, everybody can take home without a doubt.
Yeah.
Suchrita ji, your turn. So can you give us your insights on the question, please?
Yeah, so I think to some extent seva, but particularly in the context of it does take a village to raise a child. And so it's kind of all of our responsibility. I've been really lucky to have parents who really invested in me, but also a community that's really invested in me. And I think we all need that, especially in America, where culturally, as Hinaji pointed out, culturally, we don't see all of that Hindu culture around us, but also in America, where culturally, for better or worse, and in my opinion, maybe for the worse, teenagers especially are told to look away from their parents and beyond their parents for guidance on how to live their lives. And so I think that makes it all the more important that you have a community structure that takes an active role in bringing these Hindu values, knowledge, and appreciation for like the vast amount of beauty, honestly, that Hinduism has to offer the world.
Thank you, Sujitha, for your answer. I appreciate it. Yashji, if you can tell us what you think. You just need to unmute yourself, Yashji.
I strongly encourage every one of you to become a cultural ambassador. Do yoga, meditation practice every day. Stay happy and healthy. Be humble. Work with enthusiasm and compassion. Do the selfless service in community by donating your precious time and monetary donations. Become a continuous karma yogi, as Bhagavad Gita says. Become a true advocate in serving the humanity and be a great citizen and a great human being wherever you stay on this planet. Be strong, fearless, committed in preserving, protecting, and promoting our samskaras and Hindu culture from this moment. Thank you. Dhanyavad. Mangalam Shubham.
Thank you so much to everybody. Aparna ji, all the panelists, honestly, you guys were wonderful and much, much appreciated for all the time. You all have shared with us some inspiring personal stories that I do hope that all of us are able to take to heart and make use and in terms of practice. So one of the things we are going to have a question and answer. I appreciate all the questions that we've had so far. We are going to have a Q&A in a little bit. So one thing that we wanted to do is we did want to summarize everything that we've taken some tidbits from everybody and what they've said. So we'd like to just share some of these points with everyone. And afterwards, everybody's more than willing to share whatever they would like to share with us as well. So as a woman, do not underestimate yourself. Anything is possible. Be bold. Don't be afraid of failure, as it is a natural part of everyone's lives. Be true to yourself. Set goals. Ask for help and feedback so you can continue to improve and move forward. Dream big and reach for your goal. Have goals. Set goals. Have confidence in yourself to aspire to them. The younger generation needs to learn about and be proud of Hindu culture and Hindu Dharma. There needs to be enough resources available at the level that is needed in order for them to learn and understand. We as a society need to bring this to the younger generation. The younger generation needs to ask us what they need. Above all, balance is required. As the adage goes, too much of anything can be a struggle. Find balance in all aspects of your life, which is a lifelong journey that you are taking regardless of your age. So at this point, we actually do have a dance performance, and it is a video, and it is done by Anika Patel, and she is actually going to be one of our youngest participants today. So please enjoy the video that we have for you. So Neelamji is going to be sharing that video with us. Like I said, if everybody can definitely just put in any of the questions that they have, and we're going to relay them to the different participants, panelists, and keynote speaker that will share it with us. Will answer it for us.
Okay, I'm going to play the video. It is done by our Bharatnatyam dance performed by Anika Patel. She's a senior in high school and she's learning the Bharatnatyam from Triveni School of Dance since last 12 years. Let me play that. It's a very short video.
Namaste everyone, my name is Anika Patel, and the Kuchipudi style dance I wanted to share with you all today is called Bama Kala.
Okay, let me share my screen first, then only you can see it. Sorry for that.
Namaste everyone, my name is Anika Patel, and the Kuchipudi style dance I wanted to share with you all today is called Bama Kalapam, and its ragam is in Mukhari and its talam is in Nizra Chapu. And this piece tells a story of Princess Satyabhama, who is Lord Krishna's most proudest and self-proclaimed wife. Princess Satyabhama has a lot of arrogance and vanity, and it only is a testament to her love for Lord Krishna. The dancer, who is me, basically is telling the story of Satyabhama through a lot of graceful movements and delicate gestures and very arrogant and pompous facial expressions. So I hope you enjoy. Thank you. Namaste everyone, my name is Anika Patel, and the basically is telling the story of Satyabhama through. Namaste everyone, my name is Anika Patel, and the Kuchipudi style dance I wanted to share with you all today is called Bama Kalapam, and its ragam is in Mukhari and its talam is in Nizra Chapu. And this piece tells a story of Princess Satyabhama, who is Lord Krishna's most proudest and self-proclaimed wife. Princess Satyabhama has a lot of arrogance and vanity, and it only is a testament to her love for Lord Krishna. The dancer, who is me, basically is telling the story of Satyabhama through a lot of graceful movements and delicate gestures and very arrogant and pompous facial expressions. So I hope you enjoy. Thank you.
Bhamane Padiyaru Veda Komalu Nandari Lona Bhamane Padiyaru Veda Komalu Nandari Lona La 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 Chaliyara Maguware Pe Bhamane Padiyaru Veda Komalu Nandari Lona Ramaro Gopala Murti ki Prema Patra Lena Gopala Devuni Basi Gopala Devuni Basi Kanachalagayunati 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 Satyabhamane Satyabhamane Urime satrajitu kuturai hindari lona Urime satrajitu kuturai hindari Tadinme tatta dinme tadinme tatta dinme tadinme tatta din tadinme tatta dinme tadinme tatta dinme tadinme tatta din tadinme tatta dinme tadinme tatta din sai dinatta dinme sai dinatta din tarikida tom taka tarikida to taka diku tarikida to sa tarikida tom taka tarikida to taka diku tarikida tom sa tarikida tom taka tarikida to taka diku tarikida tom taha samuchesi surula atakalichina parijatamu ataha samuchesi surula atakalichina parijatamu ataha samuchesi surula atakalichina parijatamu tagatom 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 dinme datta dinme datti me datta din datti me datta din sati ginnato takka sati ginnato takka diku sati ginnato ataha samutesi suruna atakalichina parijatamu chetu techina guperata గట్టిగా నటించుకున్న చెడు తెచ్చినాదు పెరట గట్టిగా నటించుకున్న మామనే సత్యభామనే వయ్యారి సత్యభామ ముతుగుల సత్యభామ వయ్యారి సత్యభామ ముతుగుల సత్యభామ దాన దాన దా తదిగిన దాన దాన దా తదిగిన దాన దాన దా తదిగిన దా
Okay, Toral, you are back. You can
Okay,
hang up.
so we are going to start with our questions. Smita ji, do you have a question for one of our speakers?
Yes, I do have the questions from the chat. Let me just read them out. So the first one is addressed to you, but it's open to all panelists, I guess. Yeah. Namaskaram, Thoralji. One of the greatest strengths of Hindu women is taking up a lot on themselves without complaining. It is a great strength as we can focus on how to get things done efficiently. It does not matter at home or at work. Often people take advantage of this quality. How do we stop ourselves from being used for their own benefit? In other words, how can we not be the back-end worker while others take the limelight from our effort?
Who would like to answer this question? This way we're not all speaking on top of each other.
Let me take that because more often than not it happens, and there's way too many unsung heroes. So firstly, I think in most cases you have to understand the business problem that is being solved for. So you have to understand the context, and I'm assuming the question is more at the workplace. And maybe there is a question even at home and elsewhere as well. But let's say this question is at the workplace. What each one needs to understand is, where this problem fits in the workplace. So if you understand the business context of it, what I would encourage each one is to understand how best to solve it and to make sure that your point is credited to you. So several times you will have lots of people, forgive me for the expression, but several times you'll have people mansplaining your point. So my request to each of you would be to take that power back. As soon as someone's finished mansplaining a point, say, as I was saying, and thank you for elaborating that point, to my original point, this is what I was trying to say. And sometimes if they're botched up, you can correct their narrative. The most important thing for each of us to remember is it's important for you to be the authentic messenger for your message, and for you to get the credit or whatever is due for your message and your work. So you must speak up. It's almost a favor you're doing for the next line of folks. I think, as women, we tend to not incentivize ourselves for any of our work. But if you put it as, I am trying to incentivize the next quiet person by speaking up, then you are going to be much more powerful at that moment. So that's a couple of pieces of advice. Hopefully you find that helpful.
Thank you, Aparna ji. Smita ji, the next question.
Yeah. Yes. So this one was for Sucharita. Sucharita ji, the question says, you're super with all the values, how to create. Yeah, okay. So you're super with all the values. The question is how to create a support system for young Hindu kids after college to be in touch with their roots.
That's a great question, and it's one that I'm kind of working through at this point in my life. It's been a few years since I've graduated college, but I'm back in graduate school, and this is the stage I'm at in life now. I think a few things have really helped me personally. The first is to have a strong circle of Hindu friends. At a certain point, I think teenagers, young adults were inspired the most by each other. And so for me, especially in college, I attribute a good deal of who I am today and how close I am to my Hindu roots to a couple of my closest friends in college who encouraged me to keep being this way at a critical juncture in my life when it could have gone anyway. So for me, it was getting involved in Hindu clubs. It was getting involved with Samskrita Bharati, which is, I think, the first time in my life as someone who grew up in New Hampshire, I had a community of people my age who had the same combination of problems as me. It's like someone who came from a traditional Hindu family, but was growing up in the United States and was dealing with the same society I was dealing with. So I think getting that started as early as possible is always useful. But for me, post-college, Hindu Students' Council has been where I go for my Hindu interactions and my Hindu friends, and they've become like family to me. They're some of the closest people in my life. So I would definitely recommend joining a Hindu group like that.
And I think you've partly answered this next question also, because that was also for you. I would love to know what advice do you have for parents in US to instill and embrace Hindu values and culture?
Excellent.
In
So I,
high school, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and did you say what age?
Yeah, if culture for students in middle school and high school.
Excellent. Okay, yeah, because it's a little bit age dependent, but I think a very important thing for Hindu parents in the United States to understand is this. I think a lot of parents who grew up in India, especially, were taught throughout their lives, listen to your parents, listen to your teachers, listen to your elders, respect them because they know more than you and they're going to tell you which way to go. Your Hindu American children are learning basically the exact opposite of that in school. They are in school academically saying, don't listen to anyone. First-hand resources are your best information about anything. Second-hand experts who have read the first-hand resources, and by experts, I mean people who've been given a label, people who are professors in the subject, PhDs in the subject, whatever, are the next best resources on that subject. Second-hand resources are the best after that. And like your parents, elders, whoever, who like don't really have academic credentials in the subject, yeah, they're going to give you advice, take their life advice, but don't listen to them for anything that could be academic. So when you're trying to instill these Hindu values or teach your child what Hinduism is about, they're going to be facing this kind of two-way thing in their head. Because on the one hand, at home, you're telling them to listen to your parents. But at school, their friends are saying, your parents in general are the most uncool people ever. Let's not listen to them. And their teachers are telling them, hey, your parents don't have the answers, the firsthand resources, and the experts do. And so it's a really complicated position to be in as a child, which is why I think the number one thing at that age is give your children the language skills. Give them that opening so that they don't have to take the word of some professor at Harvard or a postdoc somewhere else, or like a book by Wendy Doniger to learn about Hinduism. Give them those Indian language skills, and it would be best if you could give them those Sanskrit skills to be able to look at those firsthand resources themselves. Similarly, I think as a parent, as an adult, the best way you can encourage your child to learn Sanskritam is to do it with them. And so make sure you take the time to gain some of those skills and those resources yourself. So you don't just say, okay, learn Sanskrit and then you can read these texts. You can say, hey, you have this question. Here's the text that speaks about it. I'm going to tell you what I know on the topic, but you can verify what I'm saying over there. And I think that's going to go a long way with keeping your middle school and high school children engaged.
Thank you so much. I think that was great advice. Toral, to you.
Yeah, thank you so much again to all of our speakers. You guys have definitely been an inspiration, and it was so nice to have you to speak with us today. So thank you very much. It's very much appreciated. We are going to close out. I'm going to introduce, before I introduce Shobhanti, VHP is a nonprofit organization. We have put into the chat box, especially in the time of COVID, any nonprofits, for everybody who works with it, it has been a challenging time to say the least. So we do accept donations. You can always go online, vhp-america.org. Hindu Women Network, for all of you who don't know, is an organization through VHP America. So thank you once again to everybody. I do have the privilege of introducing Shobhanti, which lucky for me, she's actually part of the family. She is my brother's mother-in-law. So it's very nice to have you, Shobhanti, on both a personal and professional level. So I invite you now to close out our program.
Thank you, Thora. You have done such a great job moderating. And you know what? Wonderful talks. I don't know what else can you say in words to express the appreciation to all our speakers, keynote speaker Aparna ji, and the panelist Swapnali ji, I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time to put it together. Hina, Sucharita, and Yash ji, very inspirational indeed. So, just very quickly, I was going to go away my takeaway points from there in A, B, C, D, E. A for accountability by Aparna ji. And then the B is for be bold, Swapnali ji talked about that. And C for confidence by Hina. D for dedication and, devotion to the family, to the whole world family. And E for education that Sucharita talked about what to teach our kids, the real philosophy of Hindu Dharma. So hope all of you out there in Zoom world enjoyed as much as I did. And now, hopefully you have been inspired, to join our Hindu Women's Network. Neelam has already mentioned about our mission, so I won't go over that. But basically, Shakti, Seva, and Sadhana, those are the three main, the great abilities that we always have that in our focus whenever we do any kind of events. What I really want to talk about on behalf of the Hindu Women's Network is that local chapter initiative. We want to expand this. When you have this locally available to the other women, you have an opportunity to share your expertise and also learn different skills from different people. So currently we have 3 local chapters, one in Atlanta, Georgia, Cincinnati, Ohio, and Staten Island, New York. The next slide, please. Okay, so let me give you a little bit about the guidance document. And that guidance document is, it defines the mission, goal, and a scope. And we also have in detail what kind of events and Seva project to achieve for this mission. And then we have defined the organizational structure of the core group. So core group can meet on a needed basis. They plan out the workshop. They have events, what topic to do, what are the appropriate dates, the venue, food, that they get together and talk about that. So it's something that you can also use for your, starting your local chapter. The next slide, please. Just to give you some idea of the events and workshop, again, I don't want to repeat myself because we did had that mentioned in the beginning. The one thing we always make sure that our topics are based on our mission. The theme is always in sync with, centered with the Hindu culture, Hindu Dharma, and our Sanatan, eternal truth that we always focus on. And then, of course, we talk about sevas, that different sevas that we can offer in the community, and Nari Shakti, empower them. So most of them are educational. So give you some example that we have done in Cincinnati is they are interactive, they are entertaining, and like crucial conversation, active listening, challenges, to raise the kids in this dual culture. I think Sucharita really gave us really good, background on that. We also do a lot of fun activities, and then healthy snacks, great time to socialize. And then what our goal now is to provide the support to start the local chapters. The next slide, please. So before I go over the support that is available, I want to again show the great appreciation on behalf of the Hindu Women's Network, national core team we have local teams, 3 local teams. So wonderful to have all of you, and you have given us such a great inspiration. And then, of course, many thanks to the National Hindu Women's Network core team for their efforts to put this workshop together. And then above all, thank you all of you, the almost 100, and some of the ones are live streaming, watching. Thank you so much for your time and attention and participation. And remember, empowered women empower other women. So that's something that we can take from this workshop. The last slide, please. And so here I want to list the support that is available to start your local chapter in your city. My sincere hope is that this whole, the dialogue and the conversations we had with the inspirational talks from this wonderful keynote speaker and a panelist inspired you to do seva, inspired you to do something for in your own cities, right? So please contact us. We are very eager and ready to help you. Just one click away, one phone call away. You can call, or at least you can contact us through the email first, and then we will definitely help you in any way we can. So the contact following members, Dr. Ila Sukhadia, she's from Staten Island, New York, and you can see her email here. Manjul Tiwari, Atlanta, Georgia, and she's very active in our core group. And then you can always contact me. I am from Cincinnati, Ohio, and I'll just give you a little time to maybe, hopefully you're grabbing, paper and pencil to jot down these emails and all ready to call us or email us. That would be great. So meanwhile, I also would like Manjulji to end this beautiful program with a prayer.
Thank you, Shobhaji. Namaste to all my Sakhiya. And we started our yajna with a mantra, and let's close with a mantra. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Namaste to everyone. Thank you.
Namaste, and thank you so much. This was just wonderful. Neelam and Thoral, would you like to have last words? Some closing remarks, please.
Neelamji, you're on mute.
Thank you everyone for joining us. It was such an inspirational journey watching all this empowered, inspiring women talking to us. And thanks to all the attendees. And as Shobha just mentioned that, we reached to our maximum capacity of 100. We never thought about that we'll get 100 people down there and lots of people watching on the social media. So we are really very empowered by seeing the attendance, and in the future we'll bring more program. And as Shobha shared that, and if you would like to start a local chapter in your city, please reach out to us. And you have seen our email ID on the flyer, and also the Shobha just shared it. So please contact us and we will help you. As Shobha said, we have the guidance document ready. So it will be just hand over to you. It has the tools, and it doesn't involve any money or anything. Just involve some passionate and empowered women like all of us who are here.
And if I would just add one thing, I have a PDF file. I think Neelam, you do too. So we can always email that to them. And that way, at least they know what they're, what to do and what they are getting into. So please call us and contact us. Thank you.
Dhanyavad. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Namaste.
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 Mangalam Shubham. Namaste.
Thank you. Namaste.
Thank you.